on Friday, so you can, if you need, you can use the homework for your exam. But I already post the homework answers in Blackboard. You can download it, print out, or at least review that if you have any questions about homework. Right? Since we have all multiple choice question in the exam, so I would say problems in the exam are not as complex as homework. The idea is the same, right? It's still forecasting or capacity planning, but it's not as complex as homework. You guys probably already begin to do, or at least sometimes finish the sample exam. You know what format you will see in the real exam. Well, my suggestion is that first read the book, because we still have plenty of qualitative questions, concept questions. You want to grab this point, because I find some students, they are very good at quantitative stuff, and they're not so sure about qualitative questions. So I want you to read the book, because we have open book, open notes exam, but you don't have enough time to check exact answer. You find exact answer in text for every question. Maybe you can do that for 2 or 3 questions, but for most questions, especially for concept question, you want to get answer in 20 seconds from your idea. You know, okay, that's the answer. Otherwise, I can guarantee every question, every concept question, you can find the exact answer in the textbook, but it's very time consuming. You don't want to do that. So that's the reason I suggest you guys read the book, definitely review the notes, definitely bring out the book and bring out the notes. That's also very helpful. Question?
Are you taking questions today for the sample midterm?
No.
No.
No duplicate question, that's for sure.
No, I'm saying can we ask you questions about the sample midterm today?
Sure,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feel free to ask me after today's class. Yeah, no problem. Sample midterm, definitely no problem. Yeah, you can take the sample midterm to your midterm. Hey, but I can guarantee that no duplicate question, so probably
Right,
not
yeah.
so useful. And what else? Another thing is that I will post the city map in the Blackboard today. So please follow the position I assign you in the city map when you take the exam. I'll tell you which student will sit in the first row and in the second row. I will randomly assign the seating position for you. So please take a look at that, so you will know what position you should sit on Friday's test.
Where
Right.
was that?
Huh?
The seating map?
Yeah, I'll post in Blackboard today. Yeah. What else? Any questions or comments or for upcoming exam? No?
Will the sample exam be similar or somewhat similar to the real exam? Is it just like practice?
It's similar. The first definitely there's no duplicate question. So
Right.
all the 25 questions you will see on Friday never show in the sample exam. But it's definitely similar because the format is the same. Each question has 5 selections. You select the best, just one. Those multiple choice, you know that. So just make sure for foreign students, there's multiple choice question, but it's only one correct answer. It's not multiple correct answers. Another thing is that you can see the weights. For example, if the sample exam you see around like 10 questions from chapter 3, most likely you will see similarly around 10 questions in chapter 3. You have the idea, okay, which chapters, obviously chapter 3 you can see show most questions in the sample exam, which will be also true in the real exam. Right? You also get the idea, okay, some questions maybe have several questions. Activities, right? 3 questions around the same statements. Use moving average, linear trend, you get that. So it's pretty similar, but the no question is the same. Alright?
Are we allowed to bring a laptop?
No.
No.
It's not allowed to use any digital device. Definitely, calculator is not counted as digital device, even it's really digital.
Mhm.
So you should bring the calculator because most likely you have to use calculator. Don't want to use handwriting to calculate the linear trend. So, but no laptop, desktop, or cell phone.
What? I have my tablet that I took all my notes in. Is that acceptable? Or
Unfortunately, Jonathan, you have to print out your notes.
okay.
Yeah. Check.
Do we have to show our work for the exam?
No, because it's multiple choice questions. It's multiple choice questions.
So we can do it all straight on the calculator.
Yeah, you just give me the correct choice. I don't know what's your middle step. You can guess a pure guess. You can guess 25 questions, you guess 100 points. That's fine. You don't need to show me the middle point. But in the final exam, well, we will have 2 months almost, 2.5 months later, we will have final exam. There will be 2 calculation questions, very similar to the homework question. You have to show me the middle steps. But for multiple choice question, don't need to do that. I won't grade that.
What's the weight again?
15.
Yeah, 15%.
15%.
Yeah. So exam is very important for our class because each midterm counts for 15%, which totally 30%, and the final is 20%. So the exam counts for 50%, half of your final grade. So I hope you guys can grab the time of the last 2 days to prepare well for the exams. Because always the hardest part is the first exam, and then you guys use those as the second, third is better. So I want you guys definitely pay attention to this first exam.
Okay, do we have 3 homeworks?
Yes. So 3 homework, 3 exam. Homework is 20%. So every homework counts roughly for 10% of the total score, total 20%. And we have 2 case study. After the exam next week, I will ask you guys to talk with your friend or the people you like in this class, or to get the group. Well, if you don't have preference, I will assign the group randomly. But we'll have the case study. Right? We'll have 2 case study, group case study, so it's 20%, and then last 10% participation. That's the reason you have the sign paper here. That's pretty much. It's clear for you, Branko?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, I will see what's your performance. Well, but if you don't perform, if you perform very bad, I would say in the both homework 1 and the midterm 1, then you have to think about that. But for most students, I won't worry about that. All right, so let's continue our study on chapter 8. So chapter 8, we have discussed the global locations benefits. Oh, that's the last slide we have discussed on Monday's class, right? We have opened the markets. If we go globally, we have the sites in a foreign country. We can save some costs. That's the major reason. Well, especially 10 or 20 years ago, we decided to do the outsourcing, the labor cost. We can avoid some legal and regulation issue, right? Because we already consider if not domestic company, but at least the company has investments in this foreign country, we will have some benefits. Balance, we have some financial benefits, have the blankets of currencies, that's hedge our risk, and also some other benefits. Definitely, there are lots of disadvantages for going globally. Okay, we have discussed first one. As you have already mentioned on Monday, that is transportation costs. Well, if you globally, even you go to Canada or Mexico, maybe or Texas, different. Well, maybe it's cheaper to ship from Mexico to Texas than from North Carolina to Texas. But for most of foreign country, you increase your transportation costs dramatically. And another thing is doesn't mention here. Well, some other disadvantage. Well, since the foreign country usually is pretty far away from you, right? Like country in Europe, country in Asia. Beyond the transportation costs, what other issues this longer distance can create? Beyond the cost, what's other issues, problems? So far away from your supplier.
Unskilled labor.
Unskilled labor. Well, we have discussed that, but it's not really related to the distance. You can find good skilled labor for go to Great Britain, right, or Germany, pretty far away. Doesn't matter too much, right? I'm talking about the distance for other student. The distance. First, we talk about longer distance, higher transportation costs. That's for sure. What's other problems a longer distance can create?
Communication.
Communication, definitely.
Time.
Time, right. Communication for that is definitely communication can be a problem. But with the technology, it can decrease its negative influence nowadays. Well, like you can use Snapchat, right? Or WhatsApp, or as is Facebook or Twitter, right? So, but the problem is time, as Branko said, it's we call it lead time, whatever transportation time, cause problem. Right? Even you have flights, usually it's very expensive. Use by sea or by train, it's very time consuming. But so nowadays, customer not as patient as before. So that's definitely can create problem. It's not least here. Other problem already, like brother said, unskilled labor, security costs, definitely a problem. Then security have two parts. First is really security. Some people, some nations really unstable. You probably need some army or to protect your property. Some other country pretty stable, but you have the intellectual property. Also is a security issue, right? Import restriction. Right? Even you are like a US company, and then if you have produce in some other country, you come back to the United States, you have these restrictions. Last thing, especially important for United States, okay, criticism for locally out of country. Well, in this country, we have heard that people, group point finger to the company out do outsourcing a lot. Well, probably more than most of other countries. So we have to handle that. As a business person, definitely, I think we should think about major is business, right? If we are the CEO or C-level, if we have to do the outsourcing, we have to do. But you definitely can't ignore the criticism, the responsibility, because it's so important. But the trend is still there. As big news last year, I'm not sure whether you guys heard about that. 2 years now. I think I mentioned that. Bernard and Jacob is not here. They were in my management 3060 class. I'm not sure whether Bernard still remember. I talk about at that time is the case of Burger King. What's happened for Burger King?
Didn't they move their headquarters to Canada?
Could you speak out loudly?
Move their headquarters to Canada.
Yeah, so theoretically, Burger King now is a Canadian company. Why they want to switch their headquarters or move their headquarters to? Oh, by the way, how can they switch their headquarters to Canada? What's action they did?
Move their facility.
No. Move facility is too expensive. What they did? Nothing. I know that's acquisition. What's acquisition happened for Burger King?
Oh, didn't they take like Jack in the Box or something like that?
They purchased a Canada fast food company. Which company? Nobody knows? No. We have to follow the business. This is definitely a business we should follow. Right? It's called Tim Horton. Right? It's one of the biggest Canadian fast food chain. And with the help, those just Burger King and those Warren Buffett helped them to do that. And then after purchase the Tim Horton, they become a Canadian company. Why they want to become a theoretically speaking Canadian company?
Less taxes.
Yeah, less
Yeah.
taxes.
Tax. Well, after the news come out, there's many people, I think Burger King have a lot of people to say good thing about them, say, oh, we don't benefit from a lot of tax, but at least initially when the news come out, everybody believe it's because of tax rates. Because corporate tax in US is one of the highest rates for developing country. Okay, developing country usually has a higher corporate tax. It's around like 10% higher, at least 8% higher than Canada. That's the major reason Burger King switched their headquarters to become a Canadian company. Because nowadays, outsourcing was like tradition. It was like, okay, I move my facility to a place. No, Burger King never move any facility like say in Pembroke into Ottawa or Toronto. Still in Pembroke, still in Raleigh. But the problem is you seems you don't lose any job. But for the whole country, for the states, you lose money. It's even worse than those jobs, right? You think about the tax. Like you don't have the corporate tax, but Burger King is number one. I'm not sure whether you guys know that. Burger King, on revenue side, is the number one of fast food chain, United States. Number one, right? Maybe number two is McDonald's. I always think, before I came to United States, I think, because McDonald's has a worldwide brand, I always think, okay, McDonald's must be number one But after I come to US, I'm surprised so many people like Burger King. I only went to Burger King like 3 times in the past 10 years in United States. Yeah, I went to McDonald's several times. Like this morning, I drive through for the breakfast. But anyway, Burger King is number 1. They do that. Go globally, without changing any location. In fact, well, that's different with this chapter. But this is not a pleasant trend, at least for people who live here, right? Because we still pay the same thing for the Burger King, and the tax money is going to Canada government. So, but think about the business. There has a reason to do that. US has a higher tax rate, while Canada has a lower tax rate. But Sweden, they don't lose a lot. Some people say boycott Burger King. But you can see, probably you can't do that. Most people don't care or can't change their habit, so that can be the problem. Any comments or questions? This is pretty sensitive topic, but this thing we have to follow. Burger King. Okay. So that's pretty much. But they do receive a criticism. Even they haven't located out of country, but it's the same thing, right? Nowadays, by the virtual business or e-business, you don't have to locate out of country. Risk is not the exact advantage or disadvantage, but there's a risk related to the global location. Okay, political issue. Definitely see nowadays, European has the crisis of refugees. Well, I discussed last week, right? Because, well, that it not just affects your country, Syria or Egypt before and Iraq. It affects all the labor countries, even countries far away from Germany, France. It's geographically it's pretty far away from the place, but because of political instability, and your company gets negative effects. Terrorism. All this we can't avoid this problem. Almost every country has this problem. Okay, even you have very stable political governments or very little terrorism, but still economical parts. Fluctuation of currency, labor costs increase dramatically, or some raw material shortage, whatever, they can create a problem for you. Legal issues. That is especially true for developing countries. Because you think about like 10 or 20 years ago, when developing country wants to attract the foreign company to invest in their country, they usually have pretty loose regulations. Okay, you come here, you're more than welcome to come here to invest here. Well, and then you come to that country, but after the country develops, for example, most countries will have stricter environmental regulation. That's for sure. You want to protect the environment. And then if your company has some sensitive like chemical products, alright, something like that, you have the problem. Active consideration. Well, when we define ethics, different country, different region have different definition. First, definitions are different for ethics. Something you think is not ethical here, in some other countries, it seems totally ethical. The first thing. Even both parties will think, okay, this behavior are not acceptable. But whether they will follow laws, well, different. Because their penalty, legal issue, can be different. The last thing, which I think is the hardest one, because we can spend the whole class, the whole year to discuss cultural difference. If you are in some other major, we do that. We discuss the whole year about cultural difference for different countries in the world. And this definitely creates a problem. I personally feel that way. When I did the UNEVA global projects, I first think, okay, I would be a good candidate to do that because I originally from China, came here for 10 years, and at that time it's probably 9 to 10 years. And then 2010, so it's in fact not 10 years, in fact it's just six years when I first worked as a consultant. Anyway, I traveled to lots of different countries. I have a friend from Europe, from Latin America, so I know at least my friend's background and their culture. But when I begin to do the UNEVA consulting projects for different regions, I find the culture difference is really hard to conquer. First, I really like the way I deal with my clients when for North America, because it's easy. I was here for 6-7 years. I know the culture, and the most important, I can go on site if I have to meet with my customer face to face. But for Europe, okay, that's where I talk about Europe. The second project I was doing for Europe, Unilever Europe, I like that way because Unilever was headquartered in Europe. They are very strong on technical parts. They are very strong. They have good data. The one thing I really don't like is for the summertime. So what's happened for European people in summertime? Could you introduce to us? What's happened in the summertime?
Well,
For example, in a typical company, in the summertime, what will happen for employee?
you mean that the worker have a holiday and
Yeah.
they're looking for employees or?
In the summertime, many countries like Britain or France, maybe Germany is better. People just get vacation for 1 month, 1.5 months, right? Just because it's the summer. Because everybody's in Europe, many countries think of summer is a time to enjoy. It's not a time to focus on work. When our project, they have a deadline. So I have 3 contacts, major contacts, back to Britain. But in summer, that's 2 months. Anytime there's only one person is working. In the 2 months, only one person. They have rotating vacation time for the 2 months, which is very true in Europe, right? It's very true, but
Yeah, they always at Volkswagen, for example,
Mhm.
they use students for that time to
cover that.
Yeah.
But you think about it as this for my example, I can't talk with the internship.
Yeah.
But this is very important project. Intern, they don't know that's what's happened, right? But their manager, they also so. And as for example, let's think about so. If you go to a company after graduation, what is the typical vacation days you can expect per year?
Maybe about 10 days.
10 days? Similar answer? 10 days?
Just holidays.
Huh?
I was gonna say just holidays in general.
Really?
Wow.
Which company is so cruel? They should give you some holiday, just holiday, vacation days.
2 weeks.
2 weeks or
2 weeks.
like it's still 10 days. 2 weeks is 10 days.
Oh, yes.
Right. It's really depends, but I was very lucky. I think because I work for a high tech company, I guess I go to 15 days. It's not bad at all, right? As a fresh graduate, even you get PhD degree, but it's 15 days. But 10 to 15 is very normal for the beginning. Okay, beginning to work. Do you know what's the usual annual vacation days for a company in Europe?
30.
Wow. You should talk with each other. That means why I say diversity will create good things, right? Cameron is a recent student here, right? He will be only here a half a year. If I talk with him, you will know like Jonathan. You should know that. Okay, you talk with him almost every day or as a class. You don't know that. Big difference. 30 days, which is very normal, right? It's a beginning. You can increase after working 10 years. Right? That's really true. For example, I have a friend, very good friend. She finished her PhD degree in France and then joined Johnson & Johnson. Do you guys know Johnson & Johnson? It's a famous company, right? He joined Johnson & Johnson and then I work in the United States. One time we use like the Facebook to chat, say, okay, we both have a job and start talk about vacation. I said, what's bad compared to China, right, or Korea? 15 days, just living in a heaven, right? China probably many companies only have 5 days. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Like Sam said, only holidays. Yeah, that's true. Okay, she told me in the first year, Johnson & Johnson, 30 days. 30. And you remember, Europe in most countries has more public holidays than the United States already. They have more public holidays with 30 vacation days. That's the reason in summer, most people take off 1 month, 1.5 months. Nothing like 6 weeks. Definitely you want to use at least half of them in the summertime. So 1 month off is nothing. Okay, I wouldn't say it's really culture different, but it's definitely culture different. France, many French companies, they work only 4 days nowadays. Because my cousin, she's pursuing her finance degree, master degree in Paris now. I just talked with her 2 days ago. She told me she compared a lot about post office in France. And she said she sent a mail in Paris, within Paris, send a mail. It takes 1 week, her mail to reach another place in Paris. I said, why? She said because first they only work 4 days, and then second probably they only process your mails after 2 days and deliver another week another days, so basically 1 week. So this difference can create problem, actually for my project, I find in the summertime, but it's still a little problem. And then third project is Indian Unilever. Well, first the problem is that India is very interesting. They have the time zone as a half an hour time zone. So like they have nowadays, I don't know, like now it's like 11 o'clock. They have like the 9:30 p.m. Here we have 11, they have 9:30 p.m. So I have first figure out their time zone because I assume I check Google, okay, that's your time zone. Okay, by the geographic place, your city. I think, okay, that's the time we have meet. But first time I missed the meeting because I don't know they have the half an hour time zone. Good to know, right? The lesson to learn. And secondly, India is from Asian. Well, you know, our Asian people traditionally, we don't like to speak bad things in front of you, but we speak a lot of bad things back of you. So traditionally, right? Don't make me wrong. Okay, I'm not a traditional. I'm not a traditional person. I'm a person. So, but the problem creates a problem, right? When I have a meeting with my clients, most times they say, "Oh, good. Any question, comments?" They're like, "You guys, silence." Okay, no, you guys have question, comments, but they're really silent. They say, "No, no problem at all." And then the problem is that they have a big problem. And then after 3 days, I was called by my director, say, "Charles, what's happened?" I received a call from their director. Those are people I work with. Their director complained my director about my projects because my contacts complain to their director, say, "Okay, Charles, whatever, this project people didn't do the correct stuff." The director contacts my director and they come back to me. This is the worst situation, right? They never speak face to face, also face to face by telephone conference. And I get a lot of finger points out to myself. I have no idea where they come from. Finally, I figure out. I begged them, okay, please let me know. Let me know in advance. So that's a problem. And then another problem is that for usually for Asian people, not just for Indian. I don't want to just have any discrimination, so let's make Asian as a group, all right? Even we don't have Indian student here. Political correct is very important in the United States, right? So usually for Asian people, we like quantitative stuff, but sometimes we are maybe arrogant, I would say, as my client, arrogant as their ability of quantitative. Try to challenge my models step by step. They want me to explain why I get linear trend step by step, something like that. Finally, we spend months on discuss the details. Just a show off. Okay, so easy. Can you use a complex model? Oh, it's so easy. Oh. If it's so easy, just go ahead to use your solution. Why you want to help us, right? If our solution is too simple for you, you go ahead. Can you handle median level of the products? It's huge. It's big data. You can't handle that. I know the model is not hard, but this is not the key usually. But they just want to challenge you guys time and time again. I find that's a big problem. But on the other hand, they definitely have an advantage. They know exactly what we're talking about. They can find a problem. If our model has a problem, they can point the fingers. Sometimes my clients in the United States, they just trust us. If we make a mistake, it's hard for them to point out. So, advantage and disadvantage. Latin American different style, you know that. I really like the people when I did the projects with Latin America. Well, pretty good. I like their styles. But you can see every country or region, they have cultural difference. We have to understand, right? So maybe some of you guys want to go to Europe for work for 2 years, right? Because you have a lot of vacation time. So you work 2 years in Europe, probably you can visit most big cities in Europe. That's good for you. Right? Okay, that's the risk. How do you manage that? We have to deal with the miscommunication. Okay. Develop trust. That's definitely different management styles, right? Usually we think about it like still Asian style is pretty micromanagement. Well, this is a stereotype, but let's say that way. Right? European style is pretty freestyle. It's good, you have the independence. American probably is in the middle between. Right? But nowadays, still many people complain we have more and more micromanagement industry. Right? And the travel costs increase. And the technology and the resistance to technology change. That can be a problem. Especially when you do a global project, like my project before. When the headquarters, C-level, they sign contracts with us. Not every region like this solution. Like, you you purchase the software from Terra Technology, and we do that. Not every country like that. Like India, obviously, they're so proud of their own solution. They don't like that. They're resistance of the change. So you have to deal with if you manage it globally. Resist on relocation, even temporary. I have this survey before, right? But I want to ask again. Just for first, let's focus on the student from United States or originally from United States. For you guys originally born here, and if you have a chance in the future, to relocate to a foreign country for 2 years, do you want to accept this chance or not? If you want to accept, raise your hand. Open for this chance. To relocate to another country for 2 years. So most people, it's open. Franco, you don't want to move to another country.
Only if I play soccer.
There are lots of countries play soccer. Right? Almost every country plays soccer, except the United
Yeah,
States.
only if I get to do that.
You will find that. But when I asked this question before, I'm not sure about you guys, but before, I remember one session maybe 2 years ago, half of students told me they won't consider to relocate to another country. And once I remember, he told me he won't consider to go outside of North Carolina. Well, he said he's the mommy's boy or something. Yeah, that's can happen, right? But every person has his or her own opinion, right? So it's no way you should challenge him. I can say I want to stay in Pembroke forever, right? As long as it has Walmart, I can stay in Pembroke forever, right? No, right? Yeah. I mean, you can't go stop as long as it has Walmart. But the problem that as the business person, right, you guys, definitely encourage you guys as this open mind. If you have the chance to study abroad, to work abroad, no mention to work in another state, I think you should get the challenge, think about it. Definitely don't want to go to some places has a big risk, has some war or political issues. But for good opportunity, like go to Germany, right? You should think about it can be a good opportunity, right? So I really like that most people here in our session pretty open to that. But we definitely have this problem. Well, you think about you guys are pretty young, but if you are in my age, you have children, or I only have one child. This can be a problem because it's hard to move, right? That's when you are young, try to open your window, open your door to the whole world. Next topic is the general decisions for locations. So we have to first, before select location, we need to first get the criteria. We'll discuss several criteria probably on next week, because Friday will have a test, right? Next week, on what criteria to use. Once we get criteria, we will identify important factors for our location. Because we have discussed, right? Different position, different supply chain will determine which factors are important for you, right? Like distributed. What are the important costs for distributed? If you are in the middle position of supply chain, what are important factors for you, distributed? Any volunteer?
Distributor?
Distributed, yeah.
Transportation, right?
Transportation costs, right? But if you are in the retailer position, what are the important factors for you?
Customer.
Customers. What else?
Manufacturing.
Not really. Customer and also traffic, right? Demographic, not just customer. Something you have to think about that. Okay. Parking, even parking space. Think about it. So after you identify the important factors, then step by step, first identify the country. Or countries for location. Well, which continent at least first you want to identify, you want to do the business. And then region level. And the third one is community level. And last one is the sites. And then continue, we evaluate the alternative and make a decision, make our best choice. Country level, this is pretty small, you can read by yourself, because country level is pretty complex. First thing is that talk about country level, even that you guys maybe have some experience to work or grow up in different countries, but there are only probably like at most 3 to 5 countries we really understand. I really doubt anybody is move to another country every year. So there's a handful of countries we really know that. But usually country level we talk about 20 or even more potential choices. Then we need to do some research for each country, from government, cultural difference, customer preference, labor, until market and safety, and to decide which country is best. After we decide the country level, then we need to identify a region. Right? If we say we want to do the business in the United States, right, then we need to identify the region. Think about generally we talk about the 4 big regions in the United States, which are Northeast, right, and Middle West, and what else? South and West. Right? So North Carolina is belong to the South. Originally, I'm a little bit surprised, but because geographically speaking, and also Virginia belong to the South. I say Virginia, there's no way it belong to the South. And then I learn more about United States history. I understand why Virginia is belong to the South. Why Virginia and North Carolina belong to the South? In your opinion, why?
Culture.
Culture? That's definitely the perfect answer for any question of culture. Yeah, that's why I can't challenge this question. Right? But why is belong to the South? Or the special culture?
The war.
The war, right?
Yep.
Civil War. That's the reason. Think about geographical Virginia. It's pretty, not in the north, but at least in the middle. The Civil War. So that's the reason Virginia, North Carolina, we traditionally will still belong to the South region. So after you select the region, let's say you want to do business in the South. Okay, then you need to determine, consider several different factors like the raw material or markets. Like we have discussed, it really depends on your position in the supply chain. Then which factors are important? Sometimes it's both are important, right? But sometimes some other factors are important than the rest. And then other factors include labor costs, labor factors, other factors. When we talk about labor factors, I want to remind you guys again and again, it's not just cheaper labor. Because nowadays, most likely, cheaper labor is not the most important factor we should consider for labor. Quality, skill level can be more important than just cheap, right? So it's very important. Other factors, tax, climate. After you decide to want to do the business, the region, the next level is the community. Then, okay, you want to do that in North Carolina. Then you have to determine which city or community you want to do the business. Several factors should consider. Some are duplicated to when we consider country level or region level, right? But environmental regulation, it depends, right? Development support, it also depends. So you should consider tax, local tax. The last one, if you say you want to build another Walmart in Pembroke, last thing you need to do is find a site you want to build a Walmart in Pembroke. The land, transportation, the traffic, zoning, the other restriction. So it's very important to do that. For example, when I was living in Pinehurst, it's very interesting. Pinehurst, you guys know Pinehurst, right? It's a golf town. It's a retirement town. It only have about 10,000 people living in Pinehurst. It's very safe. That's a major reason. Initially, we live in Pinehurst. Now we live in Fayetteville. That's the crime definitely is a problem. That's it. But Pinehurst, if you look at the past data, past 10 years, they have 0 murder and 0 rape. There's some minor crimes, but 0 murder and rape for 10 years. One biggest reason why Pinehurst is so safe, beyond that, most people are older people. So, yeah. Except me, right? I can do some crime. Just kidding. Yeah. Also, by the way, why they are so safe? Definitely population, demographics. Another reason is that Pinehurst, their government decided they don't allow any big business in the city. So you don't find. No mention Walmart. There's no Food Lion or any big store. They have small restaurants. no chain restaurant in China. I didn't see any chain fast food in Pinehurst as well. But you think about that, still 10,000 people, right? They need to shop. Right? They need to shop. So you can see in the boundary of Pinehurst to Aberdeen, that's a full line. Really, the boundary is like 10 meters past Pinehurst. That's a full line. I always think, okay, it's the full line for Pinehurst, but I find, okay, it's really the address Aberdeen. And as the boundary of Pinehurst and Southern Pine, there's a big plaza. There's a lot of stuff. Why they want to select this place? Because, right, the zoning still belong to Aberdeen or Southern Pine. But the major customer they attract, in fact, is in Pinehurst. So that's, you should think about that. Okay. That's the basic idea, find that. But many people would say, okay, so the low crime rates in Pinehurst is not really reflects the problem. Because you people, you have to go to Southern Pine and Aberdeen for shopping, for entertainment. You get some crime issue in that place because you don't have this stuff in Pinehurst. So that's the different way to argue. Okay, how to make your crime rate seem so good in your city?
So they could be killing and murdering right next to the food line.
They're just doing it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But it counts for everything at Southern Pine, right? If you are Pinehurst citizen, if you have don't talk about murder, don't talk about robbery. Like robbery in the full line Aberdeen is counts for the crime issue happening in Aberdeen. So, but anyway, yeah, still it's pretty safe. At least live there, right? So next one is to talk about multiple plants manufacturing strategy. Well, there's two general strategy for manufacturing plants. The first one is the product plant strategy. So the Intel products or production line are produced in separate plants, and each plant usually supply the Intel domestic market. It's that way. So if you have like, let's say, 3 different products, product 1, product 2, product 3. So these 3 products are produced in 3 different plants. Okay, but you have to satisfy your demand from California to New York, to North Carolina, to Texas. For all the markets of the country. Right? Similar for product 2 is the same. You produce products only in your plant, but you satisfy demand for all the country. Okay, a domestic market. That's the first strategy. The second strategy is market area plant strategy. It's very easy to understand. So we have plants designed to serve a particular geographical area, right? So like the northeast area, right? We have plants. We have these plants. We have one plant produce 1, 2, 3, and satisfy the demand just for the northeast. You can see that's a difference, right? So both strategy make sense for some particular industry. For example, if your product is really complex to handle, you need skilled labor or maybe professional people, specific machine to handle. Probably you want to use the first strategy to focus on production part, right? Because production is really hard. You want to focus to make sure quality is correct for specific products. On the other hand, if your customers are so important, they can't wait. Okay, then the second strategy probably fits better for you. You want to make sure you have the plants focus on New York area, right? Then you make sure customer won't wait for a long time. So that's a constant approach for these 2 different strategies. Right, so, and for the organizational operations, there's a process plant strategy. So different plants focus on different aspects of process, like car industry. We know that engine plants, body stamp, and then finally, by the coordination, become a final assembled to the final products and shipped to the customers. Well, then in this situation, the final assembling or coordination step is so important if you decide to use the process plant strategy. And another type of general purpose strategy, so you have the plant handle a range of products. But nowadays, the first strategy is more popular because we're talking about focus. You want to focus on engine body stamp plans. Long time ago, general purpose plans is very popular. Very famous example is Ford. Well, Henry Ford, who is the founder of the Ford, and he has the idea he wants to have very tight quality control on each part of a Ford car. So that's they use the general purpose plans to handle this all the parts. So GIS, okay, don't make GIS mix GIS with GPS because they are different. Right? GPS we use every day, but GIS has much more information than GPS. So it's a computer-based tool to collect data, store, retrieve, display demographic data. It's very helpful for you to make the decision. Okay, and to target the market, identify location, plan distribution network, and get relative information. I'm not sure whether you guys, when you make a decision, whether you guys consider location. I think location is very important for a lot of our decisions. For example, where we should rent a condo, where should we buy a house, where should we do the business, where should we travel. Right? That's a lot of things related to location decision, not just our business. Use some demographic information that's so important, well, for you guys. For me, when I moved to North Carolina, the reason I select Pinehurst, you know that, because I find that crime is really almost zero. And then after 2 years, I probably think, okay, I don't want to continue to lower down the average age of the Pinehurst citizen. I probably should move out as an exception. So I just move on to Fayetteville. But Fayetteville, we live in a pretty safe place because in downtown area, it's not so safe to live. So you should consider school zone because I have a daughter. Some other things you should consider. Business is the same, right? So it's very important to consider locations. And here is the last slide of today. So service industry. Service industry is really hard, okay, for location decision because customer is a big issue, and need to be profits and revenue driven. That's understand. Last thing I want to raise a discussion here. In the service industry, we see this phenomenon very frequent clustering, which means similar types of business locates near one another. Okay. Anybody can give me an example on the clustering? Similar type of business locates near each one another.
You have a town sometimes, and you'll have a lot of the fast food restaurants that'll build on the same like main road or something like
Very
that.
good, Aaron. Typically, what's about this location this town? When you talk about town full of restaurants, full of gas station, typically, in which location, which position for this town? Or usually, what's this town is nearby to what? Close to what?
Highway.
Interstate highway. Right? Usually it's that way, right? You have interstates and you have town access. 92, you have 5 gas stations, 10 restaurants. Even also town, you think about fast food. You talk about fast food. Pembroke, we have fast food very close to each other. Right? Why? Why you want Burger King close to McDonald's? You know you are head-to-head competitor. You close to each other labors. We have seen that all the time. They're close to each other.
That way it's not inconvenient for people to travel like one way to get to one restaurant and then
Move to another one. Right, very good. Like Kristen said. First, it's competition. We can lose customer. But it can be a win-win situation. Right? If a customer they want more choice, the fast food, but in lunchtime, maybe you can't get in 10 minutes. You can switch easily to the labor, maybe labor to labor. So it's kind of win-win similar to the hotel, right? You can one hotel book over, then you can move to another hotel. If you have only one choice, customer will be very hesitant to exit to go to your hotel. So that's the reason clustering can be very helpful for locating decision. Don't think, okay, I can't be with my competitor. It's sometimes it's a win-win situation. That's what you understand. Okay, good luck on the preparation for the exam, everyone.